श्रीमद् भागवतम स्कंद तीसरा अध्याय 4 श्लोक संख्या 27 श्री शुक उवाच इति स विदुरेण विश्वमूर्तेर्गुणः कथया सुदया प्लावितोरुताप क्षणामिव पुलिने यत्संसुतां समूषितं मौपगनिभिषदा ततोऽगात्. Shukdev Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidur the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhav was overwhelmed with a great affliction. He passed the night as if were a moment, and thereafter he went away. The word used here for Krishna is Vishwamurti. Both Uddhav and Vidur were in a great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure. And the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such a visualization of a transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is a factual absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as a Vishwamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं वर्जनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखा अन्वितांश। इति सह विदुरेण विश्वमूर्तेर्गुणकथया सुधया प्लावितो अरुतापः क्षणमिव पुलिने यमस्वरस्तां समूषितम् औपगणर्विनिर्षतो ततो अगात्. So as discussed, Vidurji and Uddhavji both, they were the pure devotees of the Lord. And whenever the pure devotees of the Lord, they come together, then generally what happens? They discuss about the wonderful pastimes of their Lordship. And here we can see how सगळ्यात पहिला when both they discuss about the transcendental pastime, glories, name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the whole night they kept discussing. And because they are constantly hearing about the Lord, they were able to see their Lordship everywhere. And that's why here Lord is called as a Vishwamurti. And Lord says that Naham vasami vaikunte yoginam hridayeshu nama. Mad bhakta yatra gayantri tatta tristhami narada. I don't stay in Vaikuntha or neither in the heart of the yogis, but wherever my devotees they discuss about me, I stay there. So here we can see that how Vidur and Uddhava they spent the whole night just discussing about the Lord. And that night was passed just like a moment. And then Parikshit Maharaj again asked to Shukadeva Goswami. He said, Nidhanam upagate shuvrashni bhojeshva adhirata yuthapayutheshu mukhya satukamaviष्ट उद्धवो यद्धरेर् अप्यत्यज आकृतुं त्र्यधीशः. The king inquired at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? According to Srila Jeeva Goswami, Nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means the highest, and dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of a transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore called Nidhanam. Apart from a grammatical elucidation, the real purpose of the word, the word Nidhanam is to indicate that all the members of the Vrishni Bhoja dynasties were direct associate of the Lord. And after the end of his pastime, all the associates were dispatched to the respective position in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elucidates the meaning of akrutim as a pastimes. A means complete. A means complete and kritim means transcendental pastimes. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body. To act accordance with the rules and customs of the material world, the Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body. But the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of a great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanation of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. But to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. The word upagateshu is also significant. All the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja directly reach the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly, but the pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of the Lord have some attraction for the opulences of the higher material planes about the earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the Vrishnis and Bhojas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction of the material planets. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also suggests that according to the Abharkosha dictionary, Akruti also means signal. Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by a signal to go to Badrikashram after his departure. And Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone even after departure of the Lord from the face of the earth. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking here to Shukadeva Goswami, please let us know that Uddhava is so attached to their lordship. Then why he remain when all the Vrishnis and Bhojas, they have left this planet? What was the reason behind that? And Prabhupada in his purport says that one should follow the path or the instruction or the explanations given on the Lord's pastimes by previous acharyas. Because they can reveal us the real purport of shlokas, shastras. So here the word Nidhanam, generally Nidhanam means depth. But Jiva Goswami Pad says, according to Amar Kosha, Nidhanam means, Ni means higher and Dhana means opulence. So he says here, Nidhanam means Lord's abode. So when Lord went back to Lord's abode, then why Uddhava stayed back here? And in the end of this purport, Prabhupada says, actually it was Lord's desire. Akritim, this word, as per the Amar Kosh, also indicates signal. So Lord signaled Uddhava that now Bhojas and Vrishnis, they are going to finish themselves. So you should go back to Badrikashram. And to follow the instructions of the Lord, Uddhava thought that it is far better than going back home, back to Godhead. So he remained on the face of the earth when Lord Krishna quit his pastime on this material world. Lord and his body is not different. Then how it is seems that he takes birth and leaves his body? That's why Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam yoyam veti tatvata tyakta dveham punarjanma naiti mameti sarja. Just by knowing that Lord has his eternal form and he never takes birth and never dies, Lord says that by knowing this, person will get liberated from the birth and death. Then how come that same Lord will get controlled by the modes of material nature in this world? How he can come under the control of time? Then Shukadeva Goswami, to explain that, he says, ब्रह्मशापोपदेशेन कालेनामोघवञ्चितः संवृत्य स्वकुलं स्फीतं त्यक्षन् देहम् अचिन्तयन्. Shukadeva Goswami replied, my dear king, the cursing of the Brahmanas was only a plea, but the actual fact was supreme desire of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth after dispatching his excessively numerous family members. He thought himself as follows. Purport. In this world, In this verse, the word tyakshan is very significant. In relation to the Lord, Sri Krishna living this body, since he is the eternal form of existence, knowledge and bliss, his body and his self are identical. Therefore, how is it possible that he would leave this body and then disappear from the vision of the world? There is a great controversy amongst the non-devotees or Mayavadis about the mysterious disappearance of the Lord. And the doubts of those men with a poor fund of knowledge have been very elaborately cleared by Srila Jeeva Goswami in the Krishna Sambandha. According to Brahma Samhita, the Lord has many forms. It is stated herein that the Lord has innumerable forms, and when he appears within the vision of the living entities as the Lord Krishna actually appeared, all such a forms amalgamate with him. Besides all these infallible forms, he has his universal form as manifested before Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Here in this verse, the word Sphitam is also used, which indicates that he left his gigantic universal form called Vishwarupa, not his primeval eternal form, because he left his gigantic universal form called the Vishwarupa, not his primeval eternal form, because there is hardly any possibility of his changing his form of Sachidananda. This simple understanding is the concept. This simple understanding is at once realized by the devotees of the Lord. But those who are non-devotees, who perform hardly any devotional service to the Lord, either do not understand this simple fact or purposefully raise a controversy to defeat the eternity of the transcendental body of the Lord. This is due to defect called the cheating propensity of the imperfect living entities. Hmm. So, as explained in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Lord is Lord at any stage and any form that may have when he appears in this material world. And all these forms are Satchidananda Vigraha. They are eternal and full of knowledge and bliss. By practical experience, also, it is seen up to the present day that the Lord's transcendental form is worshipped by devotees in different temple, and all the devotees of the Lord factually realize that the form of the deity in the temple is not different from the form of the Lord. It is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritam. मूढ़ं नायजायन्ते लोकोमाम ajavyayah. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. In Padma Puran it is said, Adasti Krishna Namadi Nabhavet Grahyam Indriyehi. The name and the form of the Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses, but when he appears within the vision of the mundane people, he assumes the form of the Vishwarupa. This is an additional material exhibition of form and is supported by the logics of a subject and adjectives. In grammar, when an adjective is taken away from the subject it modifies does not change. Similarly, when the Lord quits his Virata Rupa, his eternal form does not change. Although there is no material difference between himself and any one of his innumerable forms. In the fifth canto, it will be seen how the Lord is worshipped in different planets in his different forms, even now, and how worshipped in the different planets in his different forms, even now, and how he is worshipped in the different temples of his earth also. Srila Jeeva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have very elaborately explained these incidents of the Lord's disappearance in their commentaries. Quoting the authentic version of the Vedic literatures, we purposely do not include them all here to avoid the in, in literatures. We purposely do not include them all here to avoid an increase in the volume of this book. The entire matter is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as sequence above. The Lord represents the right of not being exposed to everyone. He always keeps himself out of the vision of the non-devotees who are devoid of love, and Lord appeared on the invitation of Brahma, who prayed before the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. And therefore, when the Lord appeared, all the forms of the Vishnu damaged with him. Sorry. All the forms of the Vishnu amalgamated with him. And when the mission was fulfilled, all of them disintegrated from him in usual course. So here it is said that Lord's body is transcendental. And even Brahma Samhita also, Brahmaji says, Ramadi Murti Shukala. Ramadi Murti Shukala. All the incarnations like Lord Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, Vamana, all these are timely incarnation that Lord comes and he performs particular activities. And Lord Sri Krishna, who was there on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he just showed that Vishwarupa to Arjuna for a while. But Arjuna was not interested in that. He wanted to see the same form of the Lord. which is 200. And it's clear from here that whenever you worship the deity form of the Lord, you should worship it in such a way that there should be a reciprocation with the Lord, considering Him as the object of Allah or object of that service. Because Lord is not different from His name, His forms, and His pastimes. So whenever we give oral reception to His pastimes, whenever ourselves we glorify the uh, guna karma of the Lord, then definitely someone will go beyond this material world. And Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in their own commentaries, they have explained very nicely about the mm, Lord's presence in Vrindavan and his wonderful pastime that he had with his devotees. And Prabhupada clearly says in this purport that we have not included all their commentaries because then this book will be very voluminous. Just to avoid that, but what is the essence that Prabhupada has given in this? Whatever that we should need to know by that, that has explained here by the Prabhupada. So any question, any doubt? Hmm? निधन है संस्कृत शब्द है दोनों एक ही है मृत्यु लेकिन विश्वनाथ जीव गोस्वामी पाद कहते हैं कि अमर कोश में निधन का दूसरा भी अर्थ दिया गया। धन को जब नी प्रत्यय लगता है, नी यानी हायर, हायर यानी उच्च, उच्च स्तर का धन। तो उच्च स्तर का धन निधन माने भगवत धाम, ऐसा विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर यहाँ पे कहते हैं। छोड़ दिया ना, उच्च धन प्राप्त करने के लिए चला गया। जो इस भौतिक जगत में इस बद्ध शरीर में अटका हुआ है वो ये शरीर को छोड़ के और कुछ अस्माल्लोकादुपरते मयि ज्ञानं मदाश्रयम् अर्हत्य उद्धव एवाद्वा सम्प्रत्यात्मवतां वरः। Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world. Can I see that Uddhava, the foremost of the devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with the knowledge about me? Jnanam vada ashrayam is significant in this verse. Transcendental knowledge has three departmental divisions, namely knowledge of impersonal Brahman, knowledge of the all-pervading Supersoul, and knowledge of the personality of a Godhead. Out of the three, transcendental knowledge of the personality of a Godhead has a special significance and as known as a Bhagavata Tattva Vijnana, specific knowledge of the personality of a Godhead. This specific knowledge is realized by the pure devotional service and no other means. Bhagavad Gita 18.55 confirms Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yachashmi tatvatah. Only person engaged in devotional service can factually know the transcendental position of the Lord. Uddhav was considered to be the best among all the devotees of that time, and therefore he was directly instructed by the Lord so that people might take advantage of Uddhava's knowledge after the disappearance of the Lord and the vision of the Lord from the vision of the world. This is one of the reasons why Uddhava was advised to go to Narayan deity. One who is transcendently advanced can gain direct inspiration from the temple deity, and thus a devotee of the Lord always takes shelter of a recognized temple of the Lord in order to make a tangible advancement in a transcendental knowledge by the grace of the Lord. Jnanam Mada Ashrayam. Transcendental knowledge has three departmental divisions, namely knowledge of the impersonal Brahman, knowledge of the all-pervading soul, and knowledge of the personality of a Godhead. Out of the three, transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead has a special significance and is known as a Bhagavata Tattva Vijnana, special knowledge of the personality of a Godhead. This specific knowledge is realized by the pure devotional service and no other means. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yachasmi tattvataha. So one can know their lordship through the knowledge or through devotion. भगवान को कैसे प्राप्त करना है? ज्ञान के द्वारा या भक्ति के द्वारा? भक्ति के द्वारा. ज्ञानम मद आश्रय, और वो ज्ञान जो भगवान की शरण में हमें ले जाता है. ठीक है. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की